Hello students, welcome to my channel Somali's Bio World. So today I am going to discuss about the process of heterotrophic nutrition. In the previous video I have already discussed about the autotrophic mode of nutrition. So today we will discuss about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So what is heterotrophic nutrition? The mode of nutrition in which the organisms obtain their food from external sources like plants and animals. And the word heterotrophic means hetero means different and trophy means nutrition. So the heterotrophic nutrition is the process of obtaining food from different sources. As the heterotrophic organisms are unable to prepare their own food, so they have to depend upon other plants and animals for their nutritional requirement. And the organic complex food that they are taking by the process of for their nutrition, it has to be breaking down into smaller forms by the process of digestion. So different heterotrophs adopt different types of strategies to obtain their food. Some organisms obtain their food after digesting the food outside the body, then they take it into their body. And the examples are like fungi, bread molds, mushroom, etc. And there are some organisms which ingest the whole food, and subsequently the food will digest and absorb into the body. And the examples are the holozoic type of nutrition and humans and some protozoans. Then there are some organisms, they obtain their food from other plants and animals without killing them. They only cause harm to the host. And the examples are different types of parasites like lice, tapeworms, leeches, etc. Then comes to the types of heterotrophic nutrition. Depending upon the different food obtaining strategies adopted by different types of animals, heterotrophic nutrition is of three types. They are holozoic nutrition, saprophytic nutrition and parasitic nutrition. So first come to holozoic nutrition. The mode of nutrition in which the organisms intake the complex organic material from plants and animals as a whole by the process of ingestion, and which has to be subsequently digested and absorbed. The examples are most of the animals like humans and protozoan protists. On the basis of source of different types of food, the animals can be divided into herbivores, carnivores and omnivores. Herbivores, the animals which take only the plant and their plant products, and the carnivores means which eat the flesh of the animals. Then come to the omnivore type, which take both animals and plants as their food. Then come to the second type of heterotrophic nutrition, that is saprophytic nutrition. The process of nutrition in which the organisms obtain dead plant or animals or any other decaying organ as their food, and the organisms are known as saprophytes. The examples of some saprophytic nutrition are fungi like bread molds, mushroom, etc. And it also may be in case of some bacteria also. The saprophytes, they actually secrete a type of enzyme from their body which break down the food outside their body into simpler forms, and after the formation of simple foods, it will take the food into its body. So next come to the type of parasitic nutrition. The mode of nutrition in which the organisms obtains its food from another plants or animals without killing them, or it may cause harm to the host. So the organism which provide the food, that is known as host, and the organism that get nutrient or food from the organism, that is known as parasite. So the parasites, it may be two types. They are ectoparasite or endoparasite. The parasites which are present on the external body part, they are known as ectoparasites, and which are present inside our body, they are known as endoparasite. So we can take the example of some ectoparasites like lice, mosquito, leeches, tapeworm, etc. And in case of the endoparasite, we can take the example of ascaris, trypanosoma, leishmania, etc. If we take the example of some parasitic plant, we can take an example, the Hosteria. The Hosteria is a plant which is a non-green plant, and it grows some sucking roots which will enter into the stem of the host body, and it will acquire its food and nutrient from the host body. So these are the examples of some parasites. Besides these three types of nutrition, there is an additional type of nutrition, that is symbiotic nutrition. In symbiotic nutrition, certain bacteria and protozoans live as the symbiont, as in the alimentary canal of cattle, horses, sheep, for the digestion of cellulose, and they help in the secretion of cellulose, which actually help in the digestion of cellulose. So this type of relation is known as symbiotic relationship. So these were the different types of heterotrophic nutrition depending upon the different food obtaining strategies that adopted by different types of animals. So after all, we have to know how does organism obtain its nutrition. The heterotrophic animals eat different types of food in different types of processes, but there are two types of animals. They are unicellular animals and multicellular animals. In case of unicellular animals, the food intake and the whole digestion process is very much simple, and there is no need of any particular organs and organ system. But in case of multicellular organisms, there is need of a specialized system or a specialized organ for the process of nutrition. And the types of holozoic nutrition, it involves actually 5 types of steps. So they are ingestion, then digestion, then absorption, then assimilation, and the last one is egestion. In all the holozoic type of organisms, the process of nutrition is carried out by these 5 types of steps. So first come the ingestion. What is ingestion? The intake of food from the outside into the body is ingestion. Then digestion, the intake food, it has to be digested. Then come to absorption. Absorption is the absorption of digested food. Then assimilation. After the absorption, the digested food has to be reached to each cell, and that is known as assimilation. Then the digestion, and the undigested food, it has to be removed, that is known as egestion. So first come to the nutrition in amoeba. As amoeba is a unicellular organism, all its events carry out in a single cell, and amoeba is the simplest holozoic organism, and it carried out its all the processes of nutrition by 5 steps. They are ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. In the ingestion process, the amoeba ingests its food by forming the finger-like projection. Those are known as pseudopodia. When the food captured by the pseudopodia, it will form a food vacuole. After ingesting the food, it will form the food vacuole. After that, the food vacuole get mixed with the lysosome. As the lysosome secrete the lysosomal enzyme, it helps in the digestion process. After the digestion, the digested food has to be absorbed. So, after the digestion, the digested food, it will come out of the food vacuole into the cytoplasm, and from the cytoplasm it will absorb for different types of activities. So, in the assimilation process, the different types of food particles it will use for the process of respiration in amoeba, and the rest of the food they will use in the growth of the amoeba. Then the next step is egestion, and it is the last step. In this step, the undigested food that remain in the food vacuole, it will come out of the body of the amoeba by rupturing its cell membrane. So then comes to the nutrition in paramecium. In case of paramecium, as the paramecium has a definite shape, it has also a definite shape for the process of ingestion. In case of paramecium, the process of nutrition also follows the 5 steps, that is ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. As the food is ingested by the process of ingestion through oral route, then it will undergo and it will digest by some digestive enzymes, and after the digestion it will absorb by the body and it will used by the cells, and the remaining will be eliminated through the body by the process of egestion. So next come to the most important part of heterotrophic nutrition, that is nutrition in human. As the humans are omnivorous, they eat both plant and animals and their body parts. So as they take complex food material, so it has to be break down into simpler forms by a process, and that process is known as digestion. So the process of digestion in case of human being, it needs a specialized structure for the process of nutrition. So the digestion, it needs a specialized structure, that is the alimentary canal. The alimentary canal is the long tube and it has different parts. They are mouth, buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine and anus. And there is also some need of accessory digestive organs. They are liver, pancreas and salivary gland. Then come to the first part, that is mouth. Mouth is a large space which is externally bounded by lips and cheeks and internally bounded by jaws and teeth. When the food enters into the mouth, there will be no chemical digestion occur in the mouth. So the food then it goes to another part, the second part, that is a cavity-like structure which is known as buccal cavity. So then come to the buccal cavity. In the buccal cavity, it is also known as oral cavity. And the buccal cavity, it is a very large space which is bounded at the above by palate, and the below and the floor it is formed by the throat. And the throat, it also helps in ingestion of the food. The buccal cavity, it has 3 parts, that is teeth, salivary gland and tongue. So we have to know about the 3. The teeth, it is the hard part of our body, the hardest part of our body, and as the human is diphyodont, there are 2 sets of teeth present throughout their life. their milk teeth and permanent teeth. To know the number of milk teeth, there is a formula, that is 2120 by 2120, which will be 20, and for permanent teeth there is another formula, which is 2123 by 2123, which will be 32 number. The number of milk teeth is 20 and it comes by the age of 2, and the permanent teeth, it comes by the age of 18 to 20. So the function of teeth is to chew and masticate the food. Then come to the salivary gland. There are three pairs of salivary gland present in the buccal cavity. They are parotid gland, sublingual gland and submandibular gland. The parotid gland is present just below at the near ear, and the submandibular gland, it is present just below of the tongue. Then come to the sublingual gland. It is present on each side near the lower jaw. And the function of these three types of salivary gland to secrete the saliva. The saliva is a alkaline fluid. It contains 99% of water, mucus, salt and an enzyme that is known as salivary amylase or ptyalin. And the function of salivary amylase is to digest the starch into maltose. So in the buccal cavity, the carbohydrate is digested partially. Then come to the third part, that is the tongue. Tongue is a muscular movable organ. It contains some papillae which contains the taste bud. So the function of tongue is to taste the food, and there is another important function of the tongue is to make the voice, and it also helps in mixing of food with the saliva. Then from buccal cavity, the food, it goes to pharynx, and the pharynx, it is the common passage for air and food, and there will be no chemical digestion occur in this part. So the food, it will go to the next part, that is esophagus. And the esophagus, it is a muscular tube. It contains some mucus glands which secrete the mucus, and this mucus, it will mix with the food and it make the food moist, and it helps the food for their easy passage through the alimentary canal. So there will be also no digestion occur in the esophagus. So from esophagus, then the food, it goes to the stomach by movement of the muscular wall of the esophagus, that is known as peristaltic movement. And this movement, it occurs actually all along the alimentary canal. So from the esophagus, the food, it enters into the stomach. The stomach, it is actually a J-shaped pouch-like structure, and it has three parts, that is cardiac, fundus and pylorus. At the junction of esophagus and the stomach, there is a sphincter present, that is known as esophageal sphincter, and this sphincter helps and prevent the backflow of food from stomach into the esophagus. And there is a junction, that is between the stomach and the small intestine, and there is also a sphincter present, that is known as your pyloric sphincter. And when the food enters into the stomach, it mixes with the gastric juice. As the wall of stomach, it contains a large number of gastric glands, it secretes the gastric juice, and the gastric is very much acidic in nature. And the gastric juice, it contains the HCl, that is hydrochloric acid, some protein digesting enzymes like pepsin and renin. It also contains gastric lipase and mucus. The function of HCl, it actually kills the germs that are present in the food. There is also another important function of HCl is to activate the pepsin, and which will again, it will act on the proteins and break them into peptones and proteases. Actually, the pepsin, when it secretes, it will be in the form of inactive state, that is pepsinogen. So it has to be into active form by the action of the HCl. stomach, the food is converted into a partially digested pulpy mass that is known as chyle, which is very much acidic. Then from the stomach through the pyloric sphincter, it comes to the small intestine in very small amount. So the small intestine, it has three parts. They are duodenum, jejunum and ileum. And the small intestine, it is a long pipe structure and it is spaced in a very compact structure. And the small intestine, the first part, that is duodenum, it has two types of secretion, that is the bile secretion and the pancreatic secretion. The bile, it comes from the liver, that is secreted by the liver and stored in the pouch-like structure that is present at the base of the liver. It actually contains the bile. When our body needs the digestion process, it secretes its bile into the duodenum. And there is another gland that is known as pancreas, which has also gives its secretion into the duodenum, that is pancreatic juice. So in this part, the food is mixed with three types of juices, that is bile juice, pancreatic juice and intestinal juice. The bile juice, it gives the food a alkaline medium and it contains two types of pigment, they are bilirubin and biliverdin. It also contains bile salts which helps in the emulsification of fat and it will convert the fat into fatty acid and glycerol. Then the pancreatic juice. The pancreatic juice contains different types of enzymes. They are the amylase, pancreatic amylase, pancreatic lipase, chymotrypsinogen, carboxypeptidase and trypsin. So the function of amylase is to digest the carbohydrate and to form the amino acids, and the function of pancreatic lipase is to digest the emulsified fat into fatty acid and glycerol, and the function of carboxypeptidase is to convert the large peptides into small peptides, and the function of chymotrypsin is to convert the milk protein casein into paracasein, and the function of last one, that is trypsin, is to convert the proteins into proteases and peptones. And there is the last one, that is intestinal juice. The finger-like projections, that they are known as the villi. At the base of the villi, the intestinal glands are present, which secrete the intestinal juice, which is otherwise known as succus entericus, and it is otherwise also known as erepsin. And the intestinal juice, it helps the food to come to the villi for their digestion. So in the small intestine, the food gets its complete digestion after the mixing with different types of enzymes. So in the intestine, the food which is completely digested, that is known as chyle. Then after the completion of the digestion, the food, it is ready for absorption. The process by which the food is ready for absorption after the complete digestion is known as absorption. And the villi that are present in the small intestine, they actually give the space for the absorption. The villi, it contains a lymphatic vessel and blood capillaries. The blood capillaries converge and it forms the hepatic portal system. Through the hepatic portal system, the nutrient that are absorbed from the food, digested food, it go to the liver, and from liver the food, it will assimilate. So then come to the process of assimilation. In the assimilation process, I have already talked that the digested food, it is absorbed directly into the liver, and from the liver the food, it will assimilate to different body part or to each part of the cell. So the excess amount of glucose which is present in the food, it will convert into glycogen, and it will store as carbohydrate in the liver, and the amount of amino acid it will use for the formation of nitrogenous bases and nucleic acid for the cell, and the excess amount of fat it will go to form the, and it will store as the adipose tissues, and the rest it will again convert into carbohydrate in the liver. So the assimilation process it completed, then after assimilation then come the digestion. So after the completion of digestion, absorption and assimilation in the small intestine, then the part come, that is large intestine. The large intestine it has also three parts, that is cecum, colon and rectum. The cecum it is a pouch-like structure, and it has a worm-like tube-like structure that is known as appendix, and this is a non-functional structure, and it gets infected when there is some food particles remain inside this appendix. So the cecum it is there is also a sphincter present in between the last part of the small intestine, that is ileum and cecum, and there is a ileocecal valve is present which guards the elimination of undigested food from the small intestine to large intestine. So in the cecum there is the water absorption occurs, and also the formation of feces occurs, and the colon it has also three parts, that is ascending colon, transverse colon and descending colon. And colon, then after the colon it comes the rectum, and the rectum it is a structure through which the feces come outside through the anus, and the periodic elimination of feces is known as defecation. So these were the in the next class we will discuss about the different types of questions regarding the process of nutrition. So thank you for today.